Klay's done. I'm sorry. Hey guys, thanks for tuning into the video. If you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Be sure to also follow Trueish Hoops on TikTok and to follow me at OZPDan on Instagram and X. Obviously, big news this week. Draymond Green put Rudy Gobert in a chokehold. I'm serious. Rudy Gobert was in a chokehold. I'm very surprised no Timberwolves player was willing to do anything about it. I think that was very odd. And you know, there's stories that Rudy Gobert is not the most likable guy, which is understandable why Draymond Green has beef with him. Apparently, this is like years this has been going on. Rudy Gobert wasn't even doing anything wrong. He was holding Klay, which maybe to Draymond Green looked like he was just attacking Klay or something, but he was really just trying to separate Jaden McDaniels and Klay Thompson, who got into it. They were pulling at each other's jerseys. This is all at the beginning of the game. The score is 0-0. Like, this right off the tip. Obviously, you know, this is the second time they're playing each other. They just had played each other a few days prior. And, you know, they had all the business with Anthony Edwards talking to Draymond, and Anthony Edwards killed him. So there's already a little bit of animosity between the teams. This type of behavior, I tweeted this out too. It's funny that we have condemned the Grizzlies when all the John Morant stuff was going on. The ESPN article that came out detailing everything, they condemned the Grizzlies for enabling John Morant's behavior, for not doing something about it prior. Look at all the things Draymond Green has done over the past decade that the Warriors have been relevant. You know, kicking Steven Adams in the nuts, stomping on Sabonis last season. You know, putting Rudy Gobert in a chokehold, the elbows, the kicks, the pushes. He got suspended a game in the finals because of this behavior. When do we start pointing the finger at the Warriors? They have allowed this to go on for years. He punched a teammate last season, and they punished the guy that got punched. They sent him to rot in Washington. Jordan Poole's been terrible in Washington. I mean, that's just a sidebar, sorry. But, like, the Warriors have enabled this behavior from Draymond Green. I understand Draymond has been so vital to their championship success. Defensive Player of the Year, the rebounding, the playmaking, everything. I understand that. Just the vocal leader of that team. I understand what he means to the Warriors. But at some point, enough is enough. If he wasn't Draymond Green, if he was anybody else, if there was anybody else doing this, they'd be out of the league. They'd been shipped out years ago. Because this stuff is ridiculous. You just can't have this type of behavior. And I'm shocked he only got 5 games. I thought he was going to get at least 10. You put a player in a chokehold and you refuse to let go. I mean, I thought that was just absolutely crazy. I'm just like, what's going on, man? Like, what is wrong with this dude? It's just something, man. But the Warriors, that's the least of their concerns. Their real concern, and I was talking to somebody about this yesterday while I was getting a haircut, actually. The Warriors are in a really tough position right now. I think they're at an inflection point right now. Klay Thompson is no longer the player he used to be. Draymond, in ways, is no longer the player he used to be. Curry, though, you can argue is just as good as he was in his prime. And I'm talking like the MVP seasons. This team is not good. They just don't have the offense. They don't have enough. They can't score. Andrew Wiggins has been very disappointing to start the season. I think he can turn it around. I mean, he's a good player. He was, at times, their second best player in that championship run in 2022. They don't have any size off their bench. Chris Paul has played well. He's helped them, especially in the beginning. I thought he was really helping them move the ball and, you know, play better when Curry was on the floor. They actually had a better plus-minus when Curry was on the bench than when they did when he was playing. But as it pertains to the rest of the Western Conference and their chances to even compete, there's no chance if Klay Thompson is an absolute shell of himself. And the real problem is that Klay Thompson, in his mind, I think is still of the belief that he is him. And he has a right to feel that way. I mean, Klay Thompson is one of the best shooters of all time. And he's a Hall of Famer, for sure. 4-time champion. But the shot selection, the way he's playing as if he's still in his prime. And unfortunately, he just isn't. The age, the injuries, it's not a bad thing that has caught up to him. It's just reality. And he is looking for a big contract in the offseason. There's just no way the Warriors can give it to him. It's going to tank their chances to continue to try and win with Steph Curry. And I think while you have a guy like Steph Curry, who right now looks like he's going to be able to keep up an elite play style, at least for the next 2-3 years, because all he's doing is shooting, really, and scoring. He's never been great defensively, and he's never had to be. You know, they've always found ways to work around that. But if he is still averaging 30 points per game, you got to do whatever you can to keep the window open. And right now the window is being closed very quickly. If they just keep thinking, you know, this trio can continue to win, it's just not going to happen. Unless Klay, who was like 1 of 9 from the field last night, I don't remember exactly, this is from memory, but he was really bad in their game against Oklahoma City, which they played without Steph Curry because he's dealing with injury right now. You got to put a better team around Steph Curry. You know, I really like Steph Curry as a guy, as a man, as a player. You deserve to give him better than this. I mean, we've seen this with guys, you know, throughout the career. Guys who are elite players and teams are just kind of like, not really trying their best. Do the Warriors have a lot of options? I don't know. You know, they're missing scoring, and you know what? You traded away a guy that scored 20 points per game and worked in your system. But you got to do something to replace that. 38 Chris Paul is not going to do that. They got to figure something out. And I was thinking, with the Zach LaVine trade rumors, the Warriors obviously not listed on one of his teams, like he said. But do the Warriors get crazy? We've seen some teams get crazy this offseason. Milwaukee traded for Dame. The Celtics traded Marcus Smart, who had been there for 9 years. Got Kristaps, brought in Drew Holiday. To the Warriors, say, Klay's on an expiring contract. Let's see if we can move Klay. Try to do a swap with Chicago for Zach LaVine. Let's bring in Zach LaVine. 25 point per game scorer. Try to bring him in and play with Steph Curry. Doesn't solve their defensive issues, don't get me wrong. But maybe they could get someone off Chicago Bulls' bench to get thrown into that deal. Maybe you throw in a Moody. Maybe you throw in a Darius Saric. Whoever you got to throw into that deal. Is that something they explore? You know, Bob Myers ain't here no more. It's what, Mike Dunleavy Jr.? He's running the team now. You got to do something, because this season this team's not going to do it. It's not going to happen. And why waste a year of Steph Curry? Try to bring in someone. Zach LaVine has contract for several years. Try to put out a feeler. Just put out a feeler. That's all I'm saying. Don't get too crazy, but just put out a feeler. See what you can do. Get crazy. Get innovative. It's a way to recuperate this season, not let it go to waste. You bring in a guy like Zach LaVine, who I think could be an electric scorer, especially in that motion offense that Steve Kerr runs. It gets everybody open shots. Everyone looks great on the Warriors. If they're just able to. I think that's something really interesting. I don't know if anyone else has suggested that, but you're hearing it here. You're hearing it from me. I think the Warriors should consider moving Klay Thompson. Because what are you going to do this offseason if Klay Thompson comes knocking after a trash season, says, you know, I'm a legend in the franchise. My jersey's going to go up, you know, when I retire, you know, 10 years from now, whenever. I've helped win you 4 titles, and you're just going to let me go? You know what? It's a business, and it's tough. But the Warriors, I don't think, can show loyalty to Klay and or Draymond. I mean, they've re-signed Draymond for several years, so I don't know if you move Draymond. I don't know if that's even possible. But Klay seems like to be the guy here. I don't know if you show loyalty at the detriment of your franchise. I just don't think you can do that. The Portland Trailblazers did it for several years. We've been pining for years. Trade Dame. It's never going to go anywhere. You're hurting your franchise. You're delaying the inevitable. And you know what? It took them. Maybe we started talking about this 5 years ago. It took them 5 years to figure this out. The Warriors, they've always been ahead of the curve with a lot of stuff. It's time to get ahead of it. Time to get with it. Klay's done. I'm sorry. It's very sad to see because he, you know, we all know the legendary Klay performances, Game 6 Klay, the 60 on however many dribbles it was, the 37 and a quarter, but that's not him anymore. Could he be on like a random Friday night against, you know, the Wizards or something? Maybe. But in a playoff series going against the Kings, going against Denver, going against Phoenix, going against the Lakers, going against Minnesota, is it going to happen? I don't think it will.